My name is Tom Lewis. I'm the founder of Noble 4 Advisors. I'm also the creator of a methodology used to help organizations achieve high performance among their teams. I've used this methodology myself in 4 companies that I've been the CEO of, and I've helped hundreds of other organizations to obtain the benefits of using this program. It's worth me sharing a little bit of background about how this came into being, because the underlying process that I've used is not something that I created myself, but it was created by a gentleman that I went to work for. In 1982, quite a long time ago, at the age of 29, I was appointed to be the head of technology for the Executive Office of the President at the White House. It was a daunting experience for such a young person, and yet I managed to be quite successful at it, and even was awarded a very high award from the Office of Administration called the Distinguished Service Award when I completed. That experience allowed me to be offered lots of jobs when I finished my position at the White House, a political appointment. And I went on to work for a gentleman by the name of Gene Bedell at CS First Boston on Wall Street as the head of development for all of their computer technology. Gene was the CIO. When I was finishing my position at the White House, I was asked to stay through the re-election of the president, and it extended my time for starting my new job by about 2 months. But I was invited during that period to attend a planning session that was being run by Gene Bedell for Credit Suisse First Boston. And it was a really unique experience. It was held in a conference center in Tarrytown, New York, and the entire senior management of the investment bank was present, including those who were responsible for trading, the investment bankers, the M&A team, the administration of the company, the technology folks, but all of the senior leaders of the company were there. And Bedell was using a methodology that was part of his research, a background that he had in his frustration of watching companies always rationalize their performance plans at the end of the year and attain what he considered to be mediocre performance. So this methodology that Bedell revealed was captivating to me, and I became a disciple of that methodology, as did many of the people who worked for him during that time. The difference, I think, with me is that I went on to perfect that methodology, to develop the principles associated with it, to develop an automated system to be able to handle it, at least macros in a shared cloud-based system. And I used this methodology in 4 companies that I was the CEO of, and I've used it in every management responsibility that I've had. So this is not something that was created out of a desire to build a consulting practice. It was developed by someone, Gene Bedell, who was using it for his own successful adaptation of how to develop an operation plan that led to higher levels of performance. And further, by me implementing processes around that to make it easier to use and more efficient in the process. Bedell, by way of background, has a PhD in operations research. So his commitment to figuring out how to get teams to work better together and to perform better was based upon years and years and years of really looking at the backgrounds of companies that don't perform and dissecting the factors that contributed to mediocre performance. So I hope you enjoy this. This is an introduction. With this introduction, you should be prepared to attend what are called OSP sessions, which are leadership groups to get together to plan the objectives for an organization, and then advance to the next stage of using the system and implementing some of the principles to be able to help your teams achieve higher levels of performance. So with that, we'll dive right in. Thank you. Before we talk about the methodology for outstanding performance, it's helpful to observe a couple of examples of individuals who have achieved outstanding performance. This is Nicholas Luhmann. Toward the end of the Second World War, as a citizen of Germany, he was captured and committed to an American prison camp. Upon his release, he went to law school and became an unnoteworthy lawyer for a small town in Germany, a civil servant. But in 1962, at the age of 35, he decided to attend Harvard University to study sociology. And he quickly found himself at odds with what he was learning. He essentially didn't agree with some of the theories being presented by his professor. He decided to delve deeply into the study of sociology, but more than that, to develop a method for how to learn what today is being called a second brain, the ability to augment learning in a way that it doesn't fall off. Standard note-taking has a high degree of loss of retention over time. So Luhmann decided that he needed a better way. And he looked at methods of capturing information and indexing it on cards. The term that is used in German is Zettelkasten, which means essentially slip box or a card file, similar to what has been used in libraries in the past before they were automated. And Luhmann continued to perfect this methodology so that he created an index of only the very core topics that he was keenly interested in, and a couple of notes to links of what he considered to be his literature notes. That is one short statement, extremely well written, that summarized his learning as he read. And they weren't long statements, they weren't paragraphs typically, they were concise statements of the essence of what he was learning with a reference to where it was, and then a link to a bibliography. On those topics, he used the core index to be able to link to many topics that were related to that core topic. And on the literature notes, if it was related to another literature note, he would have another link. This was all done manually, and they were done with a sequence of numbers and decimals and the ability to resort those cards so that they were always in numerical order by catalog. It was kind of the Google of the day. So here, this gentleman, all with a manual system, had the result of being able to generate 70 books. He became the head of sociology for a major university in Germany and a renowned author of 70 scholarly books, but not just on sociology. They were on psychology, mathematics, physiology, physics. It was a brilliant, brilliant contribution that he made, and 400 scholarly articles. After the age of 35, this meant a new book was being generated essentially every 6 months and a scholarly article every month. And he had no assistance in that. He did it all himself. At one point, Luhmann was asked, how do you work so hard? How do you maintain this level of perseverance? Authoring is difficult. This was his response. I only do what is easy. I only write when I immediately know how to do it. If I falter for a moment, I put the matter aside and I do something else. It was easy for him. he found a way to make it easy. One of my key requirements in using this OSP methodology for 35 years now has been to find a way that managers would only spend 20 minutes a week updating their current status, no formal status reports. And executives, managers who review that status could spend no more than 30 minutes looking over all of their departments and only reviewing the exceptions and being able to make decisions, intelligent decisions that are focused on the things that are most important to the organization. That's what Zettelkasten did, and that inspired me to find a way to do that. Here's another example of individual outstanding performance. This is Danielle Umstead. I had an opportunity when I first moved to Park City about 8 years ago to train in carving on skis in an indoor training center run by a gentleman who is a member of the Ski Hall of Fame. And he trains ski racing people and Olympians. It's a brilliant, brilliant program. You're strapped into a harness and put on a carpet that moves at increasing speeds, and you learn the principles of carving on skis. As I was entering the facility one day, this young lady was taking off her gear, getting out of the harness and taking off her gear. And then she left, and Alan Schoenberger, who runs the facility, said, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, that's Danielle Umstead. Let me tell you a little bit about her." At the age of 13, her mother died. At the age of 21, she was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. And if you don't know what that is, your peripheral vision continues to close in to the point of being simply a pencil view in front of you, and then eventually closes up completely. Her father, in her late 20s, introduced her, in spite of her difficulty seeing, and he was a sole parent, introduced her to adaptive skiing. That is, he had an instructor take her down the course, and she loved it, but she wanted to do it so much that it became difficult to find anybody that would commit the time. At 29, along this journey, she was diagnosed with MS. So now not only is she having difficulty with her vision, but she's having nerve pain and difficulty with her motor skills. And on one of these adaptive ski lessons where she had selected someone to do that, her father helped her, she met a gentleman who committed to being her full-time trainer. He also married her. And she went on to becoming an amazing and incredible Paralympian. She has been clocked. She is literally blind now. She can see light at a pencil point, but she follows, and this photograph is her following her husband down a slope with only audible commands through a headset that she's getting as to what to do right behind him. And she has been clocked at 75 miles per hour. Went on to be a 3-time Paralympian, 3 bronze medals, 50 World Cup medals. And, as an interesting tidbit, she also competed on one of the seasons of Dancing with the Stars. So she's quite a celebrity and quite an amazing person. This, to me, is the proof that mind over what you might think are the limitations of yourself or your organization, your mind can drive you, can build the ability to do something great, even when it might appear to all others that it's impossible. That's the inspiration that I've gained from Danielle Umstead.